friends. I'm Rabbi Eric Lankin. I am the Executive Director of ELEM Youth in Distress in Israel, with offices in New York City, and our clinical programs are done exclusively in Israel, headquartered in Bnei Brak. We serve 43 different communities across Israel in 78 unique programs. Our responsibility in the United States is to raise funds and build awareness of ELEM's significant work in Israel. Tonight I'd like to address you, members of the North Peninsula Jewish Teen Foundation, about ELEM, what we are, who do we serve, what is the reason why these teens come to ELEM, what do we provide them, and what are the outcomes, and then specifically about the Hafuch al Hafuch program in Tel Aviv. Let me begin. What is ELEM? In 1982, a group of American Jewish social workers convened to address a problem brought to them by an Israeli Supreme Court justice and professor at Tel Aviv University, which was that in Israel, when they came in contact with troubled teens on the streets, they would put them in jail. They had heard that in America, there were different techniques, more advanced techniques that could be used to help these teens in trouble. Now, 34 years later, ELEM is 280 professional staff and 1,700 volunteers, the largest group of volunteers for any organization in Israel. We serve teenagers and young adults in 43 cities in Israel and 78 unique programs. And what's unique about ELEM is we seek them out on their turfs, on the streets, in schools, on the internet, bars and nightclubs. These 25,000 teenagers we serve annually, and the 100,000 youth who use the YLM website for more information, they face tremendous challenges: domestic violence, sexual abuse, substance abuse, neglect, bullying, homelessness, and prostitution. ELEM works with religious and secular youth, Jews, Christians, Muslims, including Bedouins, Druze, new immigrants, including those from the former Soviet Union and Ethiopia, and the LGBTQ community. Many of these young people live on the streets, and most of them will not seek help from traditional social service agencies. Our programs offer counseling, mentoring, vocational training, and a safe space for Israeli youth to envision a positive future for themselves and to become productive members of Israeli society. What does ELEM provide? Professional social workers, program staff, and volunteers who go to the streets to meet these youths where they are. All the adults that represent ELEM have had special training before they're allowed to have contact with the youths. You can't force someone to stop taking drugs, or even being a prostitute, or even to return to high school. What ELEM does is to be available to these teenagers and to be healthy role models of living and vocational training when needed. Not only will ELEM give advice and counsel, we will also travel to the government agencies with these youth to help them get the resources they need and deserve. Often, these teens that abuse others are victims of abuse. Sometimes it was sexual crimes committed against them by a parent, sibling, or neighbor. Sometimes it was parental neglect or poor parenting. Sometimes parents themselves modeled drug use or alcoholism. Sometimes there are little to no parental supervision at home or on the streets. The most important thing that ELEM does is to provide healthy adult role models who will not abuse these teenagers or take advantage of them. Sometimes the ELEM adults with whom these teens come in contact are the first adults they've ever met who provide a model of healthy living and do not take advantage of them. Traveling in Israel, I've heard many sad stories of these ELEM youth and some wonderful stories of their recovery. About 75% of these young people are born in Israel, and about 25% of them are born in the former Soviet Union, Ethiopia, and France, and they come to Israel as new immigrants. They're facing terrible challenges as new immigrants because it's very difficult to integrate into a new society, new language, new friends, keeping up academically in school. Some of these Israeli-born or new immigrants come from families that have committed domestic violence against them, sexual abuse by a parent, sibling, or neighbor. Such abuse is scarring and is addressed by ELEM. Let me conclude by telling you about the Hafuch al Hafuch program, and specifically the program in Tel Aviv, to which we have applied for support to your foundation. The Hafuch al Hafuch programs began in 1999. They're a national network of youth counseling and information centers, in English called Coffee and Small Talk. They offer group and individual counseling, assistance, and support, but they are functioning like an open coffee house. Hafuch al Hafuch literally means Hafuch, referring to a cafe Hafuch, which is a latte, and Hafuch al Hafuch is come, have a cup of coffee, and help turn your life upside down and change your life. We offer group meetings and guidance and support, individual sessions, workshops, and volunteer projects. Last December, I visited the Hafuch al Hafuch program in Tel Aviv, which meets in the bomb shelter in Gan Meir. Gan Meir is a public park named after the first mayor of Tel Aviv, Mayor Dizengoff. I met a volunteer named Dima, who was in his early 20s. Sitting next to Dima, he shared with me that he had once been an ELEM kid, an ELEM teenager, a young person who came to the Hafuch programs. He described growing up in a home that had neglectful parenting and yelling, some domestic violence at all at home. He was one of, as he described, a lost kid. By stopping in and being a regular at the Hafuch program, he met ELEM professional staff, social workers, and volunteers. And they helped him get his life together. By 10th grade, by 11th grade, he saw great improvements in his life. He became more serious, he got a job, and he tried harder in school. By 11th grade, he said he started to succeed in his life at school, work, and his social life, and started volunteering for ELEM. He now continues to work in restaurants, learning first how to be a waiter. He's now working in the back of the restaurant, learning how to be a chef. He credits his efforts in improvement in his life from the Hafuch al Hafuch program in Tel Aviv. When I was there, I also saw a pair of women soldiers. And since they weren't carrying weapons, I was wondering why they were there. Dima explained to me that they were there to be available for conversation to any of the young people who were hanging out in the Hafuch program if they thought perhaps they would want to get their lives together in such a way that they would be able to go into the army, an important rite of passage for all Israeli young people, that these women would be there to guide them. We're really proud about our Hafuch al Hafuch programs. There are 17 of them across the country, and we look forward to the support of your foundation in helping us strengthen the program in Tel Aviv. Thank you very much.